CCI number is 35012. So I have been training on different Cisco technologies starting from CCNA to CCI level. So it can be routing, switching, or service border tracks. So I've been training on most of the CCNA, CCNP technology from the last 10 years. So, and even I started most of the online trainings from the last couple of years. I have been doing most of the online trainings as well. Okay, so that's about myself. So I just want everyone to just introduce yourself, and then just let me know what are you expecting from this training. So from your side, one by one. So can I know how many participants we have in the session?
So unmute everyone one by one. We'll start with the Mohan. Okay, Mohan,
Yeah.
You can just give your introduction and expectation.
Yeah, Mohan.
Mohan, can you hear us? Okay. If you have any audio problem, Mohan, you can just type it in the chat box. Okay. Let's go with Raghu. Raghu, can you give your introduction? I think two people joined with the same name, Raghu. Raghu, can you hear us? Okay. Third one, Raghuvardan. Raghuvardan, can you give your introduction, please?
Hi, this is Raghu.
Yeah, Raghu.
Yeah, hi.
Please go ahead. Yes, yes.
Hi, this is Raghu.
Okay. Yeah, Raghu, please go ahead.
Yeah, right now I'm doing my master's in NTU on AA.
Okay.
And on the last year of 2013, I have completed my bachelor's in ECE from JNTU, and I'm from India in Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
Right now I'm interested to have networking just because of the future and the present market situations.
Okay, so you want to make your career in networking, especially on the Cisco technologies, because Cisco is one of the leading manufacturer of your networking devices, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So anyway, you have to start the first step. So CCNA is the first step for your Cisco networking things. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Raghu.
Thank you very much.
Next, any?
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, myself Sanjeev.
Yes, Sanjeev.
Myself Sanjeev Reddy. I did my bachelor's in electrical and communications. I'm interested in networking. Designing based networking is my interest.
Okay. So you are into electronic and communications, which means you have very good knowledge on different kinds of voice technologies, like which we use in today's networks. Most of the VoIP, right? So we have been into this. So probably once you start with CCNA, probably if you go back with CCNA voice, CCNP voice, you have a very good. It might be a little bit more easy for you when you get into CCNA voice, CCNP voice. So it will give a very good options for you to get into some voice technologies, which was introduced by Cisco. Now it's CCNA video now. They changed to CCNA video, CCNP video, right? So recently Cisco changed the syllabus. Okay. So, but anyway, for the first step will be you need to start with CCNA, routing, switching. That's the first step for your career in Cisco technologies. Yep. Please, next. Please.
That's it.
Thank you.
That's it, Sikandar. So we'll do one thing. You just start with a normal introduction of this course, and also show them your course content. Course content, Sikandar, so that they will get some idea. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are ready to go ahead and start some overview on the different kinds of Cisco technology. So normally, like if you want to make your career in Cisco networking, when you talk about networking, we got different kinds of platforms we have. Like we have Microsoft, which is a Microsoft training like MCSE, MCITP. This is more into server technologies. Like Microsoft is one of the leading vendor, a manufacturer on server, not only server, it develops different kinds of operating system like Windows 7, Windows 8, and also it is a leading manufacturer of different kinds of MS Office application or different kind of Microsoft Exchange. So majorly, whatever the course you have, Microsoft, this is one kind of networking technology specialization where you are specialization into server technologies. So where you are responsible for installing, maintaining, and configuring all the server kind of things. Apart from that, you have another platform, Linux, Unix, Solaris platforms, where you are going to do the similar kind of job, but on a different operating system, like Linux, maybe Solaris operating systems, which are more stable server operating systems, we can say. But again, Microsoft, most of the server technologies used by Microsoft because of user-friendly. Now, apart from that, there is one more specialization we do, that is Cisco technologies. Now, in Cisco, we are not getting into much into the server kind of things, but if you want to set up any network, let's talk about the different types of networking devices we use in today's network scenarios. Like, take an example. We know about LAN, WAN, and MAN, metropolitan area network. These are all kind of things we generally get into. When you talk about network, we think about LAN and WAN. Now, LAN means local area network, where we have been connecting all the devices in the LAN, right, where we can share the information. So the main reason of connecting your devices in the LAN, WAN, or in the internet, it's simple sharing of information and the resources. Now, when you talk about LAN, LAN means interconnection of your devices. Let's take an example. These are all my devices. Interconnection of your devices with each other. And to provide that interconnection, we need to have a centralized device. Now, what we do, we use on switch, or we can use hub. In today's networks, hubs are no more used. So we can say a switch is a device which provides a centralized location where you can connect all your devices. Now, Cisco is one of the leading manufacturer of switches. So which means I can say switch is the most important device in the LAN, because without switch, you cannot expect a LAN. So when you talk about LAN, switch is a major device. Now, similar way, the next important device in your network, definitely computers are important. But because they store the information. But again, if you want to exchange the information between the computers, then these are the devices, intermediate devices, which are required to have a communication. So let's take an example, routers. Now, routers are the next important devices. Why? Because let's take an example, you got a LAN in Hyderabad. Let's say you got one city in Hyderabad here, and you got another branch office. You got two different branch offices, one in Hyderabad and another in Bangalore, maybe one in US. So now I want to make sure that my two different branch offices should exchange the information, or they should communicate with each other. Now, to provide the connectivity, we need to connect them to the router. So diagrammatically, we represent something like this. So we need to connect our LAN to the router, and then from router to router, we need to have a WAN connection. Now, this WAN connection is something given by the service provider. Now, when you talk about WAN, we're not talking about internet. It is a private, dedicated WAN connection, a separate cable or separate connection given by the service provider. So this is something what we'll be learning more in detail in our CCNA course. As of now, I'm just giving you some basic overview of the importance of the devices. So in simple words, I can say without routers, I cannot think about WAN. So when you talk about WAN, routers are the major devices. Now, similar way, there is one more device called firewall. Now, firewall is a device which is going to provide a security, because normally what happens whenever you are every branch office, every organization also connects to ISP, and then from there we are accessing internet resources. Every organization requires internet. But now the question is, when you are connecting to internet, the problem is anyone sitting on the internet, which means somewhere on a different location, somewhere, generally we call them as hackers. So what they generally do, they try to enter into your network, and they try to take some information from your network, or it can be they can send some programs which can affect your LAN, which can make your network down. We really don't want this to happen. We need something to protect it. So for that, we have something called a firewall devices. So firewall is a device which is one kind of security device which is going to check each and every packet coming and going into your network, and it will ensure that only your authorized packets will be allowed to access the LAN resources. So it's more like a security guard. Every organization, every apartment nowadays have a security guard. Now the main job of the security guard to ensure that unauthorized access or unauthorized users should not be allowed. So the firewall is another important device. So definitely our computers are important, but these are the most critical devices which will make a network, LAN, WAN, all these things. Now Cisco, apart from that, you also have some servers, because servers are the devices which stores your information, and also they control the clients. That is also one part of a network. But when it comes to Cisco technologies, majorly Cisco is the leading manufacturer of routers, switches, and also firewalls. So Cisco is a company, it's a manufacturer who actually develop these devices, manufacture devices, and also it has been it really important. Cisco is a leader in developing these devices, and also different kinds of protocols, like we will come to this protocol like EHR. There are some protocol testing. Even they are responsible for introducing standards. Like we have IEEE. Similar way, Cisco also developed some new technologies which will be useful to make your network to perform more better. Okay, so Cisco is a manufacturer. So whatever the courses you have observed, like CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, or CCNA routing switching, CCNA, these are all courses. These are all syllabus which is designed by Cisco for all the network engineers who are interested to make a career in Cisco. And then Cisco also plans some certifications also on that. So I'll be coming on that much more in detail. That will be my next topic. So any questions up to here? You can just come up with any questions if you have. Okay, so hopefully everything is clear up to here. So if you have any questions, I'll stop in between, or you can just drop me a message in between, or mostly once I'm done with one specific topic, I'll give some time for you to come up with your own questions. Meantime, you can make a note of that. We can discuss on that, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have seen that Cisco is a leading manufacturer of your devices, networking devices, especially routers, switches, firewalls. Now Cisco provides different certification tracks. Like we have Cisco majorly divide all the certification tracks into 3 different levels. The first level is your associate level, and then we have something called professional level, and then we have an expert level certifications. So we call them as associate, professional, and expert level certifications. It's more like you have a graduation or intermediate. Generally we do after our schooling, and then we do some graduation, and then we do some kind of post-graduation. So similar way, we have 3 different levels of certifications in Cisco. And you got one more level. In fact, there's something architect level, which is something very less people will do that. So these are the 3 major levels. Now what exactly these levels? So it's like, if you want to make your career in Cisco, first level we start with CCNA. That's what we call it as Cisco Certified Network Associate. And then the next level we call it as Cisco Certified Network Professional. And then the last level we call it as Cisco Certified Inter-Network Expert. So once you attain this certification, it says that you have an expert level knowledge or expert level understanding on the different kinds of technologies, whatever the specialization you can say. Now again, if you go to Cisco website, you'll find different kinds of tracks. We have a CCNA routing switching track. We call them as routing switching track. And then you have some service porter track. You have a CCNA security, CCNP security, and CCI security track. And then you have something called data center. Cisco released last year a new track on data center. And then you have wireless track, CCNA wireless, CCNP wireless, CCI wireless, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have one track called design track. We have CCDA, CCDP, CCDE, design associate, design expert. Yeah, there's one more track I missed. That is voice track. Now Cisco has changed this voice track now. Now it's no more voice. It's called as CCNA video. Whatever the VoIP technology which we use, voice over internet protocol. Now it is integrated with video. Now Cisco call it as video, CCNA video, CCNP video, and CCIE collaboration. Now collaboration is a kind of technology where you integrate your voice and video applications in your network. Okay. So now when you talk about routing switching, now this track specializes the candidate's ability to install, maintain, and configure routers and switches, Cisco routers and switches. Again, Cisco routers and switches. So in that, again, you got a track called CCNA routing switching, and then you have a CCNP routing switching. And if you want to get your CCIE routing switching, which means you have an expert level knowledge or understanding on specialization into routing switching technologies. So it doesn't mean that you don't get into other things. You have some part of service provider covers in this tracks, but this track is specialized into routing switching technologies. Now similar way, you got next track, we have something called service provider track. Let's take an example. You are working for a service provider network. Maybe you are working for one of the service providers. Let's say I'm working for AT&T, which is one of the big service provider. Now service provider uses some different kinds of technologies like MPLS, and then they use some other things like BGP protocol. Now you will be specialized in installing, maintaining, and configuring the service provider networks. So which means you'll be majorly responsible for handling the service provider core, and that service provider is actually providing the service for many customers. So especially if you are dealing with the service provider networks, now this is the specialization track which candidates will prefer to get certified and to have some good hands-on knowledge on this track. The next thing, security track, is more specialization into firewalls and router and switch level security. Now if you take an example, because normally when you talk about network, we have a LAN, and also it's connecting to WAN, maybe a different branch office. Also it's connected to internet, and then we also have a firewall set up. Now security track specializations specialize the candidate's ability to provide security within your LAN, like within the LAN, within your company, you can have a different kinds of attacks which can occur within the LAN from the inside users who are working for my company. Now how to overcome that, what are the different kinds of prevention mechanisms we can use. We'll understand what are different kinds of threats we can have from the LAN and how to overcome that, whatever the different kinds of configurations we can do on the switches. And also we can have router level security, because on the routers also we need to implement some security called as IOS, Cisco IOS security. Even we have a feature like how to make a router to do the basic job of a firewall. Now Cisco operating system, routers operating system also supports some of the advanced features where you can make a router to do a job of a firewall. It's not complete dedicated firewall. It cannot do each and everything what a router can do, what a firewall can do, but we can still have make a router to do some basic jobs of a firewall, which is more applicable for small size companies where they cannot afford to go for a firewall. Now how we can do that on the routers, and then installing, maintaining this firewall devices, what are the different kinds of threads and what are the different firewall features, so mostly onto that. And similar way, data center is the new track which was introduced last year, almost 1 year before. It specializes candidates' ability on different kinds of servers, like Cisco supports some UCS servers, Unified Computing System servers, high-end servers, Cisco Blade servers, mostly on that, and then some high-end switches used by Cisco. We call them as Nexus switches. So mostly on the data center environment. Let's say that you are going to, because nowadays most of the companies store the information, they don't store in the local database, they export all the information in a secure data centers. So how to maintain those things. And wireless, Cisco has been into wireless technologies. Cisco acquired many companies like Aeronet and Linksys. Cisco acquired all these companies and also designed some track on wireless technologies, and then you have a design And this video is more into VoIP, voice over internet protocol, as well as video over IP, which means it is more applicable if you are running some applications like VoIP applications, like you are using some IP phones, or maybe you are doing some continuous video conferencing between your branch offices. Now, what are the different kinds of configurations, or what are the different different technologies we use, or different kinds of ports, or different kinds of devices we use to support these features. So it's really important, because when you're decided to make your career in Cisco, at least you cannot master all these things initially, but the first step will be your CCNA routing switching. Now, once you are done with this first step, this is the first step. Now you can move on to specialize or master different kinds of technologies. The more you add, the more you will be in demand in the market. So, but wherever you want to go, the first step will be your CCNA routing switching. That is something what we are going to cover, okay, initially. So any questions? Up to you. Okay. So that's really important for you to know. Cisco can keep on changing the things. If you want to get some updated information, you can always go to cisco.com website, cisco.com/go/certifications. When you go to Cisco website, you'll find all this information listed over there, with what are the different kinds of paper courses, what is the cost for the examination, what is the syllabus. So everything you'll find on the Cisco website. So you can I always encourage you to go to and check the Cisco website to get some more information. And then also, if you want to know any updated information, you can always go ahead and do that. Okay, so coming back to our actual CCNA. Now CCNA X, that's what Cisco calls the new CCNA, which was recently updated from October 1st, 2013, updated with a new syllabus, and the exam paper code has been changed to 200-120. Previously it was 640-802. Now it has changed to 200-120. The new CCNA X version 2.0. So it's called as 2.0 version CCNA X. Now, as per this CCNA X, yeah. Any questions you have? Sorry? Is it my voice repeating? Okay, please put your mics on mute. I think might be because of that. Okay. Okay.
I think someone joined.
Okay.
1 second. Second.
Yeah, please check and let me know.
Raj, please connect to the audio. Sikandar, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So CCNA version 2.0, CCNA X, October 1st, they updated this one. Now the current version. So I'll give some certification information now. Certification information. Now CCNA certification is something which is nowadays it's really required for any Cisco engineer, because if you want to make your make your career in Cisco networking, the first thing, most of the companies prefer certified people. Okay, so once you go through the training, probably you need to plan to get into certification exam. So I'm going to provide you that information now. So the first thing, the exam code I already wrote here, 200-120 is the exam code. So if you want to write a Cisco exam, so you need to go to any registered PSNU center, the nearest PSNU center. You can visit view.com. It's the official website for PSNU. You can visit and you can locate the center. You'll find an option called locate center. Now you can type the nearest center as per your city. You can type there. So probably you'll find the nearest center, with all the contact details. Probably you also will get the contact number and the address information, everything. So to register for Cisco exam, you need to go to VSMU center, and then you need to pay whatever the amount. The current price is, so the current price what Cisco charges for your certification exam is $295. So you have to pay this amount for registering for the exam. So either you can register prior by going to PSNU center, and you can decide which center you want to do, or you can visit the center also. If possible, you can also visit the center, and you can speak to directly the exam coordinator, and you can plan your exam prior. You have to do it priorly. You cannot do it at the same time, because the examiner has to check the availability of the seats. Okay. So the next thing, number of questions you have in the certification exam. So most of the questions will be somewhere around 50 to 60 questions, and the duration for your examination will be 90 minutes to 120 minutes. So it all depends upon the different regions. If you are doing an exam in a non-English speaking country, probably you will get 120 minutes, that is 2 hours. If you are doing your exam in your English speaking countries, so probably you might have the duration of 90 minutes. So it varies depending upon the location. So again, that you can check with the examiner, or you can check online. Probably you'll find that information. And then the type of the questions in your certificate exams. So the type of the questions, you will have a single choice. Single choice question. Single choice means you will be given 4 options. Out of 4 options, you have to select any one option, whichever is the correct as per the question. And also you have a multiple choice questions. So in the multiple choice, in the exam, you have some check boxes. Maybe you have given 5 options, and maybe there are two or correct answers. So probably you need to check them. And in the question, he will mention you how many correct answers. So probably you don't need to worry to decide how many correct. So in the question, choose the best 2 answers or best 3 answers. That is something he will mention you in the question itself. And most of the questions will be covered single choice, multiple choice. Apart from that, you will also have some drag and drop questions. Now in drag and drop questions, what we can do is, in general, in the drag and drop questions, it's more similar to massive following. Most of the time, we in our school days, we generally do some massive following things, where you have some options given on the left side, and you have some options given on the right side. So based on these options, what we can do is, let's say this is A, B, C, D. Now you'll be given some random options, 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to just drag this box from here. We need to place it here. So exact match. So we don't need to put some lines over there, but you have to drag this box, and you have to put it over 1. Similar way, we have to drag this box and put it over 2 as per the option. So it won't be A, B, C, D. It will be some options on the left side and the right side. So we have to match the exact options. So it's more kind of match the following. And then finally, you will have some questions on simulations. Now simulations are the actual labs which you get in the examination. Now in the simulation, what you get is, simulation is more like a lab oriented exam. So lab means we don't have a real devices over there. So it will be a simulation program. The program itself, you'll be given one scenario where you have some routers, switches, everything. One scenario will be given, and based on that scenario, you will be given some question information like this is something pre-configured, this is something pre-configured, and maybe the user in the LAN want to access internet but is not able to access. So ensure that the user in the LAN should be able to access internet. So configure the routers to make sure that the users in the LAN can access internet. So now whatever the configuration is asking, you need to type all the commands as if you do on the real devices. So you need to type the exact commands. So based on the commands you type over there, so you will be awarded the points. So if you type the correct commands, probably it will start working automatically, and once it starts working, you will be awarded the points. So you can expect 2 to 3 simulations in your examination, and probably you may get 2 to 3 drag and drop questions, and rest of the questions will be either single choice or multi-choice, which means, let's take an example. If I take 54 questions, probably out of 54 questions, 48 questions will be single choice, multiple choice, and the remaining 6 will be 4 to 6. I'm not saying exact number. It random varies depending upon the different days. So we cannot say exactly how many, but it will be around 50 to 60. Now these are different kinds of questions you get in your examination. And the last thing, passing score. You need to score at least 82.5% in your certification exam to pass, to get your CCNA certificate. Okay, so probably the result will be immediate. Once you click on end exam, in the next 2 minutes you will get the result, and you'll be given a score sheet, a score report we can say. That score sheet you can carry, and you can, using that you'll get one Cisco ID also. Once you get certified, you'll get a Cisco ID. It's like a unique ID will be given for Cisco certified candidate, and this Cisco ID will be unique. And in the future, if you want to register for any other certification exams like CCNP or any other tracks, you can use this Cisco ID, and this Cisco ID is an identification for your certificate. So probably if you are facing any interviews, and if you are mentioning anything, let's say you are CCNA certified, if you want to mention in your resume, probably you don't need to carry your certificate, you just need to mention this Cisco ID. So the company can verify using the Cisco login with this Cisco ID. So probably you need to present this information, this Cisco ID information in your resume or wherever you want. And probably after 2 to 3 months, mostly it depends upon the different regions. Probably in India, it gets around easily 2 months to get your certificate couriered to your address wherever you have, whatever the address you have mentioned in the examination center. Okay, so you have to make sure that you give a proper address, or else there's a possibility that your certificate might get misplaced. So we cannot do anything further. Again, you have to raise the ticket. It will be a little bit lengthy process, and Cisco will charge again for that. So there's something you don't want to do. And one more thing, you have to make sure that you give the proper email ID which is in use, because whatever the email ID you are going to register, probably all the updates and any change, everything you'll be registered with that email ID. Probably you'll get some Cisco mails on the same email ID, and also mailing address. It has to be correct to ensure that your certificate delivered on a proper address. So any questions up to here? Okay, so
Hello?
yeah.
In the simulation, we need to execute the program.
Yes, in the simulation, yeah, you have to execute. It's more similar to lab. You know, when you click on the router, you'll get the command line interface, just like you get on the. So once you get your command line interface, you have to type the exact commands like the same way you do on the physical router. So exactly the same commands, and then you have to save the configs, and then whatever the testing it says. Let's say the question says from this PC you should be able to ping to another PC. So probably that should work. The ping should be successful. If the ping is successful as per the question, it confirms that your solution is correct. So it's a more like a lab scenario, but you don't have real devices. But the program the points will be awarded based on the commands if you type them correct. Okay. So any other questions do you have? Okay, fine. So content-wise, we got a very big list of contents. So I'll just quickly give some important contents information. Like initially, we'll be starting with some basics of IP addressing. So probably you might know this IP addressing, but I will make sure that you don't miss anything. And then we get into some advanced IP addressing concept called subnetting. So subnetting is a little bit advanced IP addressing part, and also very important part. So we'll be focusing on subnetting sessions. So probably we'll focus on IP addressing one day, and probably the next 2 to 3 days, we'll be focusing on subnetting concepts. And then later on, once we are done with the subnetting, we'll get introduction to routers. So where we'll start with what is a router and what are the different kinds of routers and what are the different models of the router, Cisco come up with distribution level routers, core routers, all those things, information all about routers and physical interfaces. What are the different kinds of interfaces you'll find on the router? Which interface is used for LAN connection? Which interface is used for WAN connection? And what is console port? All about routers, we can say, physical hardware. And then once we are through with the routers, probably we get into the basic commands. Like we get started with the command line of the routers. So it's going to be much easier, don't worry, because most of the people, let's say, when you talk about command line, they think of Linux, Unix kind of stuff. So don't worry. So it will be more easier format because the Cisco designed the commands in more easy format. So we'll see the different kinds of modes, different command lines on that. And then the next thing we'll get into some kind of connectivity, like how the connectivity is done to the LAN, and then how the connectivity is done to the WAN, something like that. So we'll be focusing on that again, connectivity part. And then later on, once we understand the connectivity, how the connectivity is done in the LAN, and how the service provider is going to provide the WAN connection, the next thing, the next job will be to ensure that the traffic goes from one network to another network. So in order to send the traffic from one network to another network or one LAN to another LAN, we need to do something called routing. So that is something we'll be focusing on later on, routing concepts. And then we have some different kinds of concepts like static routing, dynamic routing, and then we have something called default routing. So we'll be focusing on all the different kinds of routing methods. So routing is a major topic. That's what you can see, CCNA routing switching. But to get into routing, these are the foundation topics which we'll be focusing initially before we actually jump to the topic called routing. And after that, we will also get into some other concepts like ACL, access control list, NAT, network address translation, where how to translate your private IP to public IP. And then ACL is kind of security topic, where we can also implement some security on the routers, where we can allow or deny the traffic moving through the router. So it's a one kind of security topic. And then NAT, and after that, we'll be getting into some switching technologies. So from here onwards, we'll get into some switching technologies where we will be focusing more on what happens in the LAN, how to connect the devices, and how the switches identify the device based on the MAC address. And then apart from that, getting into some different models of the switches Cisco come up with, like different models of switches, and then some advanced switching concepts like VLANs, trunking, spanning tree protocol, inter-VLAN routing. There are some advanced switching concepts. So this is something like I just listed some of the few important topics, but we have some more small topics into that. And then after that, we'll be discussing on TCP/IP model and OSI models, how they work, probably some theoretical stuff. And then we'll also see some of the advanced services like how to make a router to do a DHCP server and some other services, syslog services, some kind of services stuff we'll be focusing later on. So these are all like the major topics I listed here. But when it comes, we got a small topics. So the entire class, this is the order which generally the class will flow. Okay. So any questions up to here? Okay, so fine. We are done with our basic introduction class. Probably this is all about introduction class. So probably we are ready to go with the first topic. That is something we'll be focusing on, IP addressing. Yeah. Okay, fine. So we'll stop here. So I hope the class has been informative for you. So hope to see you again. Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for your demo. like I'll do one thing. I think Raj is having some question. Raj, you can talk.
Yeah, please, Raj. Yeah, please.
If any questions from anyone, please put it in the chat box, or else you can unmute your mic. Raghu, Sanjeeva, Reddy, and Mohan. Yeah, Sikandar, you can check it out in the chat box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sikandar, Raj is asking for duration of the course for CCNA and CC.
How long the training is going to be? See, the training will be like, if you go, let's say, if you're going for 1.5 hour to 2 hours sessions, probably we require somewhere around 25 sessions to finish off the things. So 25 sessions means I can say, let's say if you're doing 5 days a week, as per your, so we need some 5 weeks somewhere around to finish up things. If you're doing 6 days a week, probably it will take 4 weeks. So around figure we can say 1 to 1.5 month, depending upon the number of sessions we are doing. So for complete CCNA, it will take somewhere around 25 sessions are required to finish up the things. If you go with 1.5 hour to 2 hour sessions, along with the labs, I'll be showing you all the labs live. So we'll be discussing the theory along with the labs, and also I'll be sharing my lab workbook. Probably you can also use the same workbook for working on the labs. Okay. You find any other questions?
You can check in the chat box. Sikandar, they have some questions.
Yeah.
You can check in the
Yeah.
chat box.
Yeah, I can see there's one question like how long the duration is. So can we hear the recorded classes afterwards also? So probably that I had to check, because what we can do is we can also record the sessions. That again I have to check whether it is possible or not. So I'm not exactly 100% sure we can do that. So I'll check with Satish and I'll get back to you on that. Okay, fine. Any other questions? Please, you can come up. So regarding the recording classes, I'll let you know that. So I cannot 100% assure you that. I will see that. Okay, I'll discuss it and I'll let you know on that. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, Sikandar, I'll do one thing. I'll just talk to them and I'll let
Yeah.
you know the schedule and when to start
Okay.
and date and all.
Okay, fine.
Fine. Thank you very much for your demo, Sikandar.
Yeah. Yeah.
For your time. Thanks for
Can I
joining.
disconnect, right?
Yeah, you can disconnect. Yeah. Thanks for
Okay,
joining,
fine.
everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys can get the complete schedule, timings, and everything.
Just a
from
quick
Raj.
question. There is one question. I'll just finish off that.
Yeah,
Is
go
there
ahead.
any difference between switch and a LAN? So LAN, generally we call as locally network. LAN represents a set of devices connected in the LAN. Okay, so which means it can be 100 devices, it can be 20 devices, it can be, so the entire, we call it as a LAN. But whereas switch is a device which is going to provide the connectivity. Yeah, switches are used for the LAN connection majorly, and the routers are used in the WAN connection. Yeah. So the difference between these two devices is the switches operates on the layer 2, where they will see the MAC address, and they don't do routing in general, but there are some layer 3 switches which can also do routing. So routers are dedicated devices used for WAN connection, providing the connection between two or more different locations. Okay, so we'll get into more in detail on how they work exactly in our courses, because that is our major part in your CCNA. Yeah, switches are for the LAN connection and routers are for the WAN connections. So, but they work in a different way. They both are work in a different way. Switches identify the device based on the MAC addresses, and routers identify the devices based on the IP addresses. So the process-wise, both are different. That we'll see more in detail in our session. So don't worry. We'll also verify that behavior, and also we'll configure them and verify that. So any more questions, please?
Fine, Sikandar. Yeah, I'll try to get some more details from them, and we'll start
Okay,
the
fine.
session soon. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. So
Thanks for
thank you.
joining Raghu, Raj Thakkar, Sanjeev Reddy, Mohan, and everyone. You will get a complete
Yep.
details soon from Rao. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for
sure,
joining.
sure. Thank you. Thanks.